I will actually connect with a different sculpture each day.
Okay.
One day I was just walking down on the main campus and looked over at the Alexander Calder sculpture, which is on loan from the Hirshhorn. And this is a big black steel sculpture. And it had this gold hue to it. I think there must have been like a setting sun or something. And maybe it was like the fall. But I was just like, wow, I didn't realize the color black could do so much, you know?
Right.
It just took on this whole different life that day. These things happen regularly here, where you connect with the sky and the land.
Pete.
Hi, Shannon.
It's great to be here and talking to you. I remember the first time I visited Tippet Rise, and I really appreciate hearing more about your role as the co-director of Tippet Rise and all that you do, and how that's changed. Maybe you just could tell me a little bit about the role.
So my name's Pete Hinmon. I'm the co-director at Tippet Rise Art Center here in Fishtail, Montana. The role really covers a lot of ground. You know, it could be a piece of art and finding its location with my colleagues at the Art Center, and the artists team could be building and leading the team to achieve the vision and the mission of Tippet Rise, which to me is really built upon the belief that spending time in the wilderness, an untrammeled land, is really powerful. It changes people. When you spend time in that setting, you learn so much. You become attuned. So you take art, sculpture, music, poetry, literature, and you bring those into the wilderness. It creates a dynamic and an experience that we believe is really powerful, really enriching. It's totally open to people's interpretation, and we feel that that's important.
I often think that I look at the natural world differently because of the art being here. Mm-hmm. And then I also look at the art differently because it's sited in this kind of environment. Absolutely. And the tacking between those just doesn't stop.
Yeah.
So when you were talking about the experience of putting up sculpture out in the wilderness, or what it means to listen to classical music here in this environment, maybe we could talk a little bit about creating an art center in this landscape, the decision to make it here.
Tippet Rise is on the edge of a almost 1 million acre wilderness, which then backs up to a 3 million acre national park, Yellowstone National Park, and then you have Grand Teton National Park. You can come here for an hour and you can enjoy it, but once you've traveled this far to get here, you should show up early and walk the land and explore and sit down for, a concert, to have that sustained engagement, whether it's the better part of a day or maybe it's a weekend, you come back for 2 days. You need a place, you need a landscape that allows for that.
Tell us a little bit more about what it means to think about the environment and climate and the impact of this place on the land, and how you work as a steward of the land with some awareness of environmental ethics in mind.
It's a great question, and something that's very important to me personally, and also to Tippet Rise and our values. In a very direct way, we have put a lot of effort into creating renewable energy sources, and we're really looking forward to greatly expanding that capacity in the coming year or two. So we'll be expanding our solar array. Our ranch manager, Ben Winthian, puts a ton of effort into constantly improving the care of the land and the agricultural practices that he uses. He's a real student and a real expert, and reevaluates what's working, what's not working for the Tippet Rise land, and also a really great example for the region as far as, what can ranching practices look like. Those are some of our very direct things that we work on. More broadly speaking, I'm interested in exploring how can the arts instigate change? What can we do working with artists and architects to really make change. As an arts center, I really believe that accessibility is really important. It's one of our core values. And we hope that we are open to all different beliefs and values and backgrounds, and really prioritize making the experiences that we are cultivating here at the Arts Center accessible to everyone in our region and nationally and internationally. I think if you're having a shared experience with, your neighbors or your fellow citizens or international community, if you're having a collective experience, I think it opens up opportunity for just general, like very basic connection. Just we are sharing this lovely concert together. Like things start to maybe open up a little bit more personally, and maybe that's a way to kind of just bring people together.
How do you think then about what it means for this center to be engaging different, community members at different scales?
We're very remote. We have a very small communities in rural Montana, which is wonderful, and a larger regional audience as well. People who love spending time in the mountains, and then the national and international audience. These people are coming to Tippet Rise alongside people who live here and are absolutely passionate about rangeland and the Beartooths and the wilderness, or mountain bikers who are recreating on the trails. When you bring those groups together, I feel like it creates a great energy and a great experience for everyone.
When you think about the sculptures out in the landscape, which are an incredible array of major artists and major works, what do you think about when it comes to placement and installation and all of that?
It comes from like a very practical place. Working with Peter and Kathy, the trustees, to understand their goals and understand the artist's practice or the architect's practice. And does the piece want to be nested and protected? Does it want to be exposed with lots of room to breathe and lots of connection with the sky and the land? Does it want to be on a little bit of a plinth? Does it want to be in a hollow or a shallow bottom? What size of equipment is it going to take to install this? And can we get that equipment there? And will it be easily accessible by our visitors?
After a lot of work back and forth with you, me, Lindsay, others, members of the team, Kathy, Halstead, we came up with a title, Relevance of Place, for this program that we're in. What would you want people to know or think about when it comes to the word relevance from your position?
If you're thinking like, what is relevant? It's sort of like saying what really matters, what's really important. So that's really the way I think about the word. Like, what are the core things that you or an organization care deeply about? And then how do you start to take action to fulfill those?
And place.
And place, obviously, is incredibly important for Tippet Rise. Place is the central theme for the Arts Center. The more I've walked around the landscape at Tippet Rise, the more I've learned about this environment in particular. I was walking just a couple weeks ago, and all the south-facing hillsides, I'm looking at the rocks, and I'm like, oh, this is pretty much all petrified wood. Remnants of what used to be a forest, probably 65 million years ago. When you spend time in a place, whether it's the natural setting or an urban environment, and you learn the ins and outs of your place or a place, you just connect with it so much more deeply, and you really start to piece together your thoughts of how this place came to be.
Absolutely. So, the way that you're talking about it is both the geologic sense of place and this more intimate, interpersonal sense of place. Seems like so much of what you do, Pete, is being a steward of this local environment, where locality means attending to the site, to the place, as well as to the people. And it's so great to get to know you better and to get to know more about how you do the work you do. So thank you. Thank you for spending time.
Thank you, Shannon.